Hi guys, it's Kiera and Mr.
Wizard Kelly.
And we are here today to do a
We're doing a couples Q&A posted on Instagram, Facebook. People texted us some questions, which is also good.
DM'd us some questions.
Right, slid into the DM. So we are going to answer them as best as we can, and hopefully you guys get something out of them. Some of the questions overlap, so we might not get to your question. It might be mixed in with another answer, so just be mindful of that. So question number one, from high school to today, because we've been dating since high school, well, dating high school, now we're married, what's the most drastic change in your relationship? I've always wondered how adults stay consistent from high school and what challenges they face growing up together. That's a thick question.
Thick.
The most drastic change is that we're both adults. Now, I mean, that's the biggest thing, and we have a lot more responsibility than when we were in high school. And the good thing about Kiera and I is that we're both on the same page. So with the things that come with being an adult, like getting a place to live, getting groceries or going to church, all of that is
health insurance.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Taxes. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
All of that is a collaboration on our part together. So when we were in high school and even in college, we didn't have to be as intentional about doing things together. But when we're married, there's a lot to take into account.
I'll also say with that question, I know for me, it shifted from just being independent and learning how to be like more codependent, collaborative partnership. Like we're one, we are a team.
How is God having an effect in y'all marriage? I'm gonna read word for word. In y'all marriage, and what advice can you give other married or soon to be married couples about having God in y'all marriage?
Mm-hmm.
God has to be at the center of everything you do. So that's like your friendships, your job. You have to put God first in everything. And so when it comes to a relationship, you have to love God first and love yourself first before you love somebody else.
Yeah.
As far as my advice to married couples, I feel like the stereotype of like, especially young black couples, is that the woman goes to church and the man stays at home and don't go to church. Like, no, that's not how it should be.
Right.
Like, it should be a cohesive, unit. And for us, that's how it is. If it's church involved, we're going together as a unit, because that's what God intended for man and woman to be together, and then to be on display for other couples to see that as well. To see that example, which is why it's always good for married couples or even soon to be married couples to have a couple that they look to for advice or for like, that's a good couple. What do y'all do to make it work? Also seek God in that as well. So spend your own time with God, pray, have Devo time, things like that. That's the best advice that I have. Because once God is in the middle of it, everything works itself out after that.
Pretty much love your spouse the way that God loves you.
Which one of you convinces the other to be bad with your guilty pleasures, junk food, diet, etc.? Who is the one to say, babe, let's get takeout tonight? Is it easy for the other to fall victim? Who resists temptation better? Especially when it comes to spending money on food when you have some at home, or are y'all on the same page? If it's anything with ice cream, I'm down for it. Like, don't ask me, because you're gonna spend some money with me.
Typically, we're on the same page. When it's something that I truly want,
she'll get it without asking me.
No, that is not true. No, I'll put it out there.
I'm at Ross.
And if he says no, we talking about food right now.
I know.
If he says no, then I use some of God's gifts and put that persuasion and you know how women do. We like to let men feel like
Exactly. negotiation.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
having
that's what it is. A negotiation.
How does society support your marriage? In what ways does it work against your marriage? I feel like society, well, this is the thing. 99.9% of people want to have a companion or somebody to do life with.
Yeah.
So to that end, yes, society does support marriage because everybody likes a good love story. Everybody likes all the feelings and all that type of stuff. How society works against it is the idea of what marriage should be. So what marriage should be is man and woman, obviously, and that's a whole nother debate we're not gonna get into in this video. It should be God-centered. It should be a foundation of God. And all the other stuff that is supposed to come after marriage is starting to come before marriage. And these are things that, you know, Kiera and I are guilty of even before we got married.
Yeah.
So you think about having sex before marriage, or, you know, having kids before marriage. Again, nothing wrong with, you know, children or anything like that. But what God says is that He wants us to wait until we're married. And even if you're not religious, like, sex is gonna be complicated across any and everything. Right. And again, we're not gonna get into that stuff, but I mean, that is what it is. So as far as like how society works against it, it's what the idea of what marriage is compared to what God says what marriage is. And that's the biggest, you know, challenge, because we live in a broken world where everything is all lopsided, everything is backwards. You know, what God says is taboo and what the world says is normal. So that's the biggest way how, you know, society works against it.
I would also add that society works against it. Well, I'll say American culture, because we're so individualized. Like, it's literally, I feel like, yes, like you were saying, we kind of promote, you know, doing life with somebody else and like just growing old with somebody and loving somebody and just this whole romantic story. But I feel like society also promotes like individualized marriages. And when I say individualized, I'm talking, I'm the wife, I need to get everything I want, everything I desire. You, the husband, you know, you got your stuff that you want, and we're just butting heads the whole time. I don't feel like society promotes the unity and like physically becoming one. It's all about my happiness and what I want and what you need to do to make me happy. And if you can't do that, you got to go. It's not about you, it's about y'all. And I don't feel like our society promotes that enough.
Did both of your plans line up with one another? What did you have to compromise on? I guess the biggest thing that kind of, I guess, directed the path is like my major when I was in college. If I were to work in sports, that would have required me to be moving all these places, you know, and making like no money. And I was like, nah, that ain't what I want to do. I could have done it, but it would have complicated my relationship with Kiera one way or another. I could see that coming a mile away. So I was like, nah, let me change some things up. So that was a compromise, but it wasn't one that I was unwilling to do, if that makes sense. I prioritized me being with her and then going a different path for a career, which I'm thankful that I did.
So it really is like a balance of figuring out, like, how do I ensure that my spouse is growing and I'm not hindering that growth, but also making sure that we're growing in the same direction.
Aside from that, by the time we were deeper in college and in grad school, we were both on the same page with our plans. It wasn't like, oh, this is my path. If you ain't coming this way, then that's on you. You know, we both were like, nah, we're going the same way. How can we both go the same way without going completely somewhere that we don't want to go?
Right.
How did y'all fight for your purity? What advice would y'all give to couples who are dating about sexual purity? Stop having sex. Now, we both realized that, you know, God wanted us to be pure before marriage. Didn't happen. But at some point we did realize that we need to stop doing this and abstain from sex until we got married, which is what we did. So a way to combat the desires, because as humans we're gonna have a desire to be affectionate with one another. Know your triggers. If getting a hug triggers you or getting a kiss that's too long triggers you, Don't be kissing too long. Don't be hugging too long. Don't be touching something that you don't want to touch.
Right. Pretty much just putting boundaries in place. If that's like, hey, I don't think it's okay if we talk or text after 10 o'clock, after 9:30, because that's when my mind starts wandering. Like, don't put yourself in those situations. Like, if you feel like y'all need to go on dates during the day, or go on double dates, or just being mindful of the stuff that you allow in your spirit. If you got certain songs that trigger you, I mean,
that's good too. Songs,
like just turning away from your triggers, turning away from sin, and pursuing the things of God.
If you can find a healthy distraction, then I would say do that. So if you like to work out, then go work out, go run, go do some push-ups, but find something to replace that time with. I would recommend having Devo time. Just go to God when you feeling good, and that can go with anything.
I would also throw in the fact that if you have friends or people in your life that's not going in that same direction, you're going to be made fun of. You're going to look like you crazy. Like, bro, what you mean? Like, we all got needs. What you trying to do? But when you like truly trying to put God first and trying to honor Him with your body, because it is the temple, you really have to be intentional about surrounding yourself with people, surrounding yourself around people that will support you in this. Because I mean, don't go through it by yourself. I mean, it's okay to have an accountability partner to be like, look, I'm struggling with this right now, and then just having somebody to encourage you in that, because sin is convenient. Sin is anything that separates you from
slick.
God.
Another thing is, when you're seeking out a partner, you could be in a place where you're like, I don't want to have sex before marriage, and that person needs to be on the same page as well with you. If that person is pressuring you to have sex, or it's like saying, it's just sex, like, no, it's not just sex. Sex is, like I said before, it's complicated, whether you're a Christian or not. Again, don't have sex before marriage. Just, if you're doing it, stop, please. Try.
So what if God showed me who my husband will be, but he don't even like me? Like, he don't even acknowledge my presence. Did God only tell me? Did he tell dude? I need answers. Okay?
I'm gonna speak as a man. If you are a woman and you see a guy that you like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there in a reasonable way. So if you find yourself attracted to somebody, I ain't saying let them know like in the most extravagant way, but you can just say, be friendly, come up to them, hey, how you doing, whatever. If
it were me, I'm thinking, if God already told me that this gonna be my man, this gonna be my husband, like, it's not too much that I need to do. Like, God does not lie. His word does not come back void. And I feel like His timing is everything. So if God has already revealed it to me, and at this time, my husband is unaware, that's perfectly fine. Maybe God is, keeping that present for another Christmas or another birthday until it's mature and it's developed. Like,
man, Christmas.
Hold on, I'm into this.
Okay,
like, maybe that system still needs some upgrading. It still needs some software updates. Like, and I'm cool with that. Like, Lord, take your time. Let this wine marinate. Let it turn into something beautiful. Because right now, if we cross paths, it may be a disaster because the timing ain't right. Yeah. So, I mean, you can put yourself out there in a reasonable way, but don't force anything. Yeah. I mean, even if it's just a matter of pursuing a friendship.
Most important thing to do is just to continue to do you. Like, don't appear too thirsty. I mean, you can express to someone that you need a little sip of water, but you ain't gotta like throw yourself all the way out there. Just get like a little, tap your toe in the water a little bit to see how it is.
No, don't drink from the fountain if the water ain't cold. If it ain't time to take a sip, Shut up.
Don't drink from the fountain if the water ain't cold.
If it's not time to take a sip, baby, maybe
maybe it goes
the
to
plumber's trying to do some filtering right
Right.
now. So you just gonna step aside.
Because somebody might look, I mean, that's one thing. Somebody might look like your husband, but inside, are they your husband?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you guys adjust to one another during different phases of each other's lives?
That we adjusted to each other's, moves and phases with consideration and communication. You have to be considerate of what the other person is going through, and that's taking the time to step out of how you feel and how you're thinking and what you're needing, and taking a step back and just analyzing the situation like, okay, from their perspective. And that's where the communication comes in, like, hey, I noticed that this is going on. Like, what do you need from me? How can I support you? And I feel like in return, that kind of opens the door for you to kind of share. Let's work together and let's figure this out so that both of y'all are winning. But I will say, not every single moment will be everybody's getting something out of it. I mean, sometimes you may just have to lose. In those moments, that's when I remove myself and allow, the Holy Spirit to call me out. And that's when I kind of marinate in how I'm feeling. I need to come correct if we decided that we is what we want.
Be ready to shift, change, evolve, transform throughout the different phases of life. Specifically for a marriage, like I said, when she's going through a season, I'm going through a season. There's there's your problem. You gotta sit.
Right. I'm gonna let you figure this out, and then you can come back to me.
Now, one thing I will say that if you have something that you talk to God about, that's between her and God. I can't get into what God is doing with her. I can only support her as best as I can and tell her, like, hey, maybe you need to talk to God, pray about, situation. But as her husband and her as my wife, we're not going to completely ignore each other and act like something's not going on.
That's your problem.
Right. What's the biggest challenge in your marriage? Student loan debt? I mean, because that's just like, we're, according to Kiara's mom, we're cheap to a certain extent. I guess the challenge would be actually enjoying ourselves, like in the ways that we know that we could if we were financially completely irresponsible with our money. But we got student loan debt we're trying to knock out within the next 2 years, 2-ish years. But right now, we're trying to be responsible with our money, but at the same time, that kind of prevents us from like doing things that couples without kids normally do, like go on vacations. To that end, yeah, it's a challenge, but I don't foresee us changing how we go about our finances in order to flex for like Instagram or Facebook.
Flex for the gram.
Nah.
On one end, we can get super, super duper extreme about it. And on the other end, that's when hey, live your life, YOLO. Yeah. So just trying to find balance between being responsible and pursuing our financial goals, and also being in the moment and celebrating the small victories within the budget.
When y'all having a baby? First of all.
Next.
First of all, how y'all know we capable of having babies?
This is true.
How y'all know we ain't been trying?
You don't.
So, yes, we would love to have. We said this in the last Q&A. We would love to have babies. I'll say this, we're closer than we were last time. We did a Q&A. This is a benign question to most people, but it might not be benign depending on who you ask. When y'all having a baby, my answer gonna be God's timing.
God's timing.
God's timing. Ask G. How many kids you want?
That wasn't part of the question.
Do y'all have time for socializing with friends? Do I have time to socialize with friends? I do. Now, who the friends are depends on who you ask. So one thing that I'm very proud of for me, thinking about 2018, is that one, I wanted to attend a church that was multi-ethnic, multicultural. Well, we were a part of church anyway, that was like that, but this is a much smaller church. But another goal that I had was to make friends who didn't look like me. I still got black friends. I mean, I'm black. But I also have friends who are, you know, white, Asian, you know, Hispanic, etc. And I felt like I was convicted by God to be intentional about building those friendships and going beyond just what I knew from when I was in college or high school. Because, and this is just my conviction, because heaven isn't just black people. It's not just everybody from your neighborhood.
And everybody from Wakanda.
Right.
We lit.
Which, I mean, I'm still down with the cause. I'm still black. But that was a challenge that I had for myself for this year. And I wanted to be intentional about taking time to commit to those relationships.
Yeah.
So, yes, we do have time to spend with friends. It's just a matter of got a lot more friends now that we're trying to make intentional time with, especially within the friends within God's kingdom. The big thing for both of us is that we do work full time, which is not different from anybody else, but we have limited time slots, and so we're not as spontaneous with our time as we used to be.
Yeah.
We can't just stop what we're doing on a Wednesday night, because Wednesday at about 6 is a wrap. Like, unless you told me like last week that we doing something, once I get into this apartment and I'm showered or sitting down watching the game, it's over with.
When this bump come out.
If you do want to hang out with us, let us know beforehand.
So we can plan in the budget.
Right. We literally budget every cent on the cents for the most part. So we can't just say, oh, let's go to Six Flags. I'm like, hold on, that's like $80, and that might affect, you know, a bill or a student loan payment. So, but
yes, we do have time to socialize with friends. But as Marcus stated, just like everybody else, we do work full-time jobs. And I feel like, in particular with my line of work,
I'm drained.
so I want to ensure, you know, that when I am spending time with people in my personal life, in my own free time, that it's not draining. Like, it's uplifting. It's joyful. Like, I'm surrounding myself with positive energy.
Which is why we spend a lot of our time at church or talking about God, because God is the ultimate picture of life.
Yeah.
So she needs time away from having to give advice or give counsel to somebody. And it probably needs to be an environment where it's just life-giving.
Yeah.
You know, and
they're also intentional about the people that we allow in our space. And I feel like it's a fine line. We don't use the word friend lightly.
Nah,
like, when you are my friend, like, I want to be there for you for the highs and the lows. I want to encourage you. I want to pour into you. But also, friendship, like any other relationship, is reciprocated. So it's give and take.
Not necessarily always got to be an advice session.
No,
but it can be like a session where you just talk about like what's your grind, like what do you like to do, like what makes you want to get up and go get it, type of thing.
But yes, we do have time. We're just intentional about the time that we spend and give.
Do you think your friendships change because you're married? Ever since I got married, it's like people don't invite me to things and think I'm not available anymore, which is not true.
I would say to a certain degree, yes, they have changed. And I don't necessarily feel like it was a negative change. I feel like it's one of those, when you get married, people do assume that you don't have time, you can't do anything, you unlock, you this, and that. Which some people are coming from a good place. At least with my friends, I feel like they're coming from a good place when they do that, because they don't want to intrude. But some people are salty when they say and do stuff like that. Like, and that's when you kind of figure out, like, are you coming from a place of love, or are you coming from like just negativity, where maybe this is a sign that I shouldn't hang out with you because you're not respecting my boundaries, you're not truly being happy and celebrating, you know, the stage that I'm in right now. With that assumption, you know, with people thinking, oh, you're busy, you don't have time because you're married. If there's somebody that you're truly friends with, that also requires you to step up and communicate. You don't just get up and go when you want to because you feel like it because somebody invited you somewhere. It's out of respect for your spouse that you say, hey, this is coming up. That allows, you know, that communication, that consideration to come into play. He may be like, babe, I noticed you haven't hung out with anybody. Yeah, go ahead and go out. I want you to have some girl time. Go ahead and go out, and we'll just catch up and do this, and that later.
Friendships are gonna change no matter if you're married or not. If you live long enough, you're gonna have friendships that fade away. I mean, I got people that I was friends with in high school or college that I don't even just hang out with, talk to, or see. So that's natural. When you're changing seasons throughout your life, you're gonna find people don't fit in with the grand scheme of things for you anymore. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, we've lost friends because of that. No ill will towards them. That's just how it is. And specifically for a married couple, you're gonna lose friends because one, you're probably gonna have friends who are not married and who can't fathom what it means to be married. So there's a level of decor you have to have in order to be a good spouse to your significant other. You can't go to the club every weekend with your girls or your boys. You can't turn up every weekend because you need to be home or you need to be hanging out with your spouse or whatever. If that impact, if there's a difference between you and your friend because of the fact that you're married, then you might need to reevaluate your friendships.
Right.
If they're treating you differently because you are married, are they really your friend? You know what I'm saying? And like Kiera said, if it's just a matter of a communication issue, then let it be known. If you see that, I would challenge you to talk to that person or those people that you're friends with to see, like what's the disconnect. And at the same time, also see what are they doing that I probably shouldn't do out of respect for the marriage. It's gonna change friendships. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What I would say, get connected with other married couples who can understand where you're coming from. Because I guarantee you, everybody that's been married has lost friends one way or another.
And people that have become parents have lost friends.
That's the next step right there. Like people who become parents, like if you married and then you got kids, like that's like another cutoff right there, to be honest, and that's again a different season of your life, and it calls for different people to be in that season.
Everybody in your circle does not have to be involved in every single thing that you're involved in or that you like. Like everybody doesn't have to be married. Everybody doesn't have to be a parent. Everybody doesn't have to be
black.
Right. Like everybody don't have to be black. Like God made us to share our gifts in like the seasons that we're in. It's perfectly okay. I think it's a matter of the mindset and then the intent. Like
who handles the finances? How are they handled? She's a CFO, so I rock with it. I'm just an employee.
Make my money.
I'll say this. I'm capable of handling the finances, but Kiera has a little bit of control freak in her. And I'm actually okay with her doing it. So that's, again, it differs depending on your marriage. However, the finances work for y'all, go for it. If y'all have separate accounts, if that works, cool. If y'all have a joint account, that's cool. Yeah. If y'all sit down at the table and do the bills together, that's cool.
But I don't think there's like a right or wrong way to do your finances as a unit.
As long as everybody knows what's going on.
Right. Communication.
Don't be hiding bills, hiding credit cards.
Just be upfront. Yeah. Keep it real, like raw conversation. And there's nothing hidden, like. Yeah. So if y'all want to do a joint account, separate account, any of that is fine as long as the communication is open.
It'll work for y'all. When are the networks gonna offer y'all a show? This is the type of reality show that needs to be on TV. Hello, Oprah. I mean, if Oprah won't drop a check, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for it.
I'm running. I like